may have short-term some little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world. We have deficits with almost every country. Not every country, but almost. And we're going to change it. It's been unfair. That's why we owe $36 trillion. We have deficits with everybody. We help everybody. We've been helping everybody for years. And to be honest, I don't think they appreciate it. So we're going to change that.
This is an executive order. Discharges your Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and your Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, to begin a process that will hopefully result in the creation of an American sovereign wealth fund.
It's a very exciting event. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, which we've never had. We have a lot of things that create wealth, and you're seeing that over the last 2 weeks. I think we've created more wealth. Other people have created de-wealth, the people, my predecessors. We're creating a lot of wealth. Scott, maybe you'd like to say something about it, and I'd ask also Howard to say something about it.
Yes, sir. This is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work. And I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices that's done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets, assets that we have in this country as we work to bring them out for the American people.
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business it does with companies should create value for American citizens. If we are going to buy 2 billion COVID vaccines, maybe we should have some warrants and some equity in these companies and have that grow for the help of the American people. So bringing all these things together, I think Scott and I will create an amazing sovereign wealth fund for you, sir.
So other countries have sovereign wealth funds, and they're much smaller countries, and they're not the United States. We have tremendous potential in this country, tremendous. You're seeing that, what's happened just in a short period of time. And as an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok, and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it, otherwise we won't. But I have the right to do that, and we might put that in the sovereign wealth fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very wealthy people, a lot of options, but we could put that as an example in the fund, and we have a lot of other things that we could put in the fund. And I think in a short period of time, we'd have one of the biggest funds. And some of them are pretty large, I must tell you. Some of like the Saudi Arabia fund is on the large side, but eventually we'll catch it. But we're going to create a lot of wealth for the fund, and I think it's about time that this country had a sovereign wealth fund. And these two gentlemen and some others are going to work with them very closely, and they'll be heading it up, and they're going to do a great job. Two highly respected people that have done unbelievably well in the world, in the real world. So that's a big deal, huh?
Yes, sir. I think it's going to create value and be of great strategic importance.
On the tariffs, is there any chance that Canada or China could also get out of the tariffs after you struck a deal with Mexico?
Well, nobody's out with Mexico. We had a great talk with Mexico, and we had President Sheinbaum is a woman. I like her very much. We've had good relationships, but we have to stop fentanyl from coming in, whether I like somebody or not, and we have to stop the illegal aliens from coming in. I think we've lost 200,000 people on average a year for many years, much higher than the 100,000. Could be even closer to 300,000. And they've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country. They have a big incentive to do. Other than that, we've agreed to talk and consider various other things. We haven't agreed on tariffs yet, and maybe we will, maybe we won't. But we have a very good relationship. I also spoke with Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, and we had a good talk in the morning, but I did ask him a couple of questions, like, banks aren't allowed to do business in Canada. Canada is very tough. Canada is very, we're not treated well by Canada. and we have to be treated well.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And I want to thank those who are hitting that Cash App for my son, King. Keep it coming. Remember, birthday tomorrow. We're going to be partying until the weekend. And we have Trump saying it's going to be short-term pain. But he doesn't say why. And we know it's because they're trying to build this fourth industrial revolution. And the sheep are asleep. And Trump announces a sovereign wealth fund. And the U.S. has over $5 trillion in assets. But the only thing about it is you got a George Soros and a hedge fund guy that's going to be in charge of it. How about they lose half or lose all of it? I'm just saying. Remember, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. And we have Canada and Mexico get a 30-day delay. And we know why they're getting this delay. Remember, guys, all these dates are chosen. It's all about the Fed. If he was to put these tariffs on now, this stock market would tank because the Fed doesn't meet again until the middle of March. They have been quietly just taking a little off the top. Remember, guys, we're in a plan. It moves in phases. And these tariffs, just by mentioning it, allow them to keep pumping and dumping. And once they are put on, it forces the Fed's hand. And the Fed doesn't want to make a move just yet. Why? Because they want to keep these rates higher for longer in order to destroy this legacy market so Trump can build this fourth industrial revolution. Whether robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
President Trump does not mean the sky is falling, especially when he's doing exactly what he told you he was going to do, putting tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. Yet that's all I heard last night and this morning, where once again we heard that the world was ending, with the market looking like it's about to fall apart, only to rebound when we got an amenable statement from the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum. Suddenly went from down about 2% to the Dow finishing just off 123 points. It was positive 1 point. S&P dropping 0.76%. NASDAQ losing 1.2%, but it was the worst last night. Looks like the end of the world, though. Didn't occur. Now, I want to take a moment here to talk about panic. I think many investors had a panic attack last night because President Trump quickly announced these tariffs, 25% on Mexico, 20% on Canada, except for oil, which is 10%, and 10% on China. Now, these moves were shocking to many people, which is insane to me. Candidate Trump said that he would take that. He told you again and again that he was going to take these actions against these countries. So how the heck do you convince yourself that he won't do it?
I mean, number one, once we saw that the tariff on Mexico had been delayed for a month and the market started rallying, we thought, this is a good place to take our equity exposure down. And just to be clear, we're taking it from an overweight to benchmark weight. So we just wanted to remove our excess long positioning. That gets us in line with some of our main models. And the real reason is I just think that this tariff news is going to be around the market for a bit. There's no way to predict it. And I'm not so worried about the impact of tariffs on the economy. I'm more worried about how tariffs impact the Fed's reaction function. So to me, that's the one durable thing that we can see here is that the Fed is going to take this and be a little slower to act. I think we saw that in the rates market. So, SOFR implied rates came up while long-term rates came down. And I think that's a tough mix for the market. We've talked about it a few times. Our view is that late Q1, early Q2, there's likely to be a growth scare. And the Fed's going to need to be kind of reactive to save the market from severe stress. And so I think this takes us farther away from that. So bottom line is I think there's a lot of complacency around the Fed put. It's probably lower than the market expects. And this pushes it lower. And even the Trump put, everyone says, Trump doesn't want to see a sell-off. This early in his term, I think that he would actually be willing to take some equity stress to accomplish some policy.
Megan Casella from the White House. So in the face of this tariff turmoil, what do? Do you wait it out, trade around it? I mean, what we saw today was extreme whiplash when it came to the headlines. We thought there were tariffs, and there's a 30-day reprieve with Mexico, then again for Canada.
Yeah, well, we had Vinny and Porter and Danny Moses and Steve. You did a panel with them, and Vinny talked about, make volatility great again in June of last year on this show. And again, I think that's what you're going to see. And they're going to be, in our business, we call them tape bombs. And get ready, because the next 75 to 100 days, I think you're going to see more of them. And I don't know what you do other than embrace the fact that vol's probably going to be sort of on the other side of 18.5, 19 for the foreseeable future. So you're going to see whips like this. I'll say real quick again, though, I think today and all these down days, you see the vulnerability of a market that's trading at, I think, excessive valuations and how sort of tenuous things can be.
So just to piggyback on what you said about the VIX, so the VIX went from like 16 and change to 20, which if we were in an all-out trade war, 20 would not be the number where we were. So I think there was a great deal of skepticism going into the day about, well, all right, this is where we're starting, but we'll see. There's likely going to be some movement. I don't think that would have been a surprise to most people, and I'm surprised it ended in one day. I don't know that it's fully over. That's not what they're saying, but I kind of don't quite understand the whole strategy. I think it's destabilizing to businesses to know there could be a trade war, there might not. Like if you're GM, what do you do? Right. Hard to run a business.
It's interesting about the strategy. I mean, if he had Trudeau come down to the White House, if he had Scheinbaum come up to the White House, and they had this meeting and it looked really nice and official, and they walked out to the podium and they said, we've just reached a really great deal, that sort of thing. I think those are the sorts of things that CEOs would have a lot of confidence in, especially when you think about with our allies. Now, on the flip side, with our adversaries like China, it's a totally different game, right? We've had tariffs on them. They are punitive. We know that they are our adversaries. We have an economic war with them as it relates to this kind of battle for AI supremacy and all that sort of stuff. And we should continue with those regulations, with those curbs, with a whole host of other things. And when you think about, I know there's a lot of issues about them stealing our IP. That's been going on for decades and the like, and obviously some of this espionage. So China is actually 10%. If it stays there, that's fine. When you think about it, because we will get concessions. It's the stuff with the adversaries. That's the sort of stuff. If you are an auto CEO here, if you are an energy company CEO here, this is the sort of stuff that really hurts your planning.
Right. I mean, to that point, to Dan's point, to all of you guys' points, I mean, we're talking about our allies here. We're talking about in trade when it comes to Mexico and Canada, and that's what's so destabilizing. When it's China, you completely get it. You know that it's coming. You know it's going to happen. But with Mexico and Canada, it doesn't make any sense after so many decades of just sort of open borders and our ability to move things back and forth in manufacturing and goods. Julie, what do you do here? Because we've got 30 days theoretically now. And I don't know what the off-ramp is because there haven't been any metrics. It's not like we want to reduce fentanyl shipments by X% or X number of tons or whatever. Some people say that because there aren't any metrics, that is the off-ramp. He can call it off at any time. Others are saying, that there is no off-ramp because there are no metrics.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go, but clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.